So the Romans kept their calendar in a significantly different fashion than we do. But let's start with some of the similarities between what they did and what we do, namely the 12 months of the year. Please write all of these down with all of their little vowels and stuff after them. And while you're writing them down, you might feel tickled and amused and think, oh good, this isn't going to be too bad. Because the months of the Roman year are essentially the basis for all of our English months of the year. We have Januarius, Februarius, obviously, Martius, Aprilis is Maius, Junius, Julius, Augustus, September, Septembris for the genitive, October, Octobris, the genitive, November, Novembris, and December, Decembris. Kudos to English for just taking the names rather unabashedly from their Latin source. You'll see as you're going through the names that some of the names also are attributed to famous people or gods and goddesses. Yeah, September is not, September's related to the number. So these are all of the months by their dictionary entry. These are all the nominative forms. Fantastic question. It started out as the 7th month, way back when. And then when Julius Caesar was dictator for one of his dictatorships, he decided to insert a month into the year. He did it with good intentions to round out the calendar and put it to a more amenable standard, but he put his month in the middle of the year because he wanted a summer month. I mean, if you had to choose a month to be associated with your birth, wouldn't you want something that, you know, people could go outside and play on your birthday, etc.? So he put July in the middle of the year, thus setting September back a month. And then when Augustus, the first emperor, he also got a month named after himself. And again, September got pushed back again. Okay. Apart from the fact that the names of the Latin months are related to the names of our American months, what else do you notice about all those nominative forms of the months that you just wrote down in your notebook? And if you don't have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, you'll get a takeaway after this so that you can have them all written out for you. All right, 5 responses in. Okay, let's start looking. They are not just masculine. You are correct. Most of them end in eus or bear. Okay, they come in all genders. Very nice. Masculine and feminine. They are indeed related to rulers and numbers and stuff. There are 12. Okay? They can be different declensions. All genders. What do you know grammatically about a word that can be used in all three genders? What kind of word is that in Latin? Adjectives, yes. So all the names of the months that you just wrote down, all of them are adjectives. You might want to jot that one down. Why? Should you jot it down? Why are they adjectives? We'll talk about that in just a few moments, I promise. Let's talk more about these months. The average Roman month was 30 days in length. There were 4 exceptions to that 30-day rule. Those exceptions are March, May, July, and October. In order, hopefully, to remember which months were the long ones, there's a mnemonic device that you can include in English that refers actually to Caesar. That Julius Caesar, May, as in might in English, March, with his army, in October. Julius may march in October. When you say it as an English sentence, it kind of fits. These months were longer because they had 31 days. As you know, in 2016, they're still long. They still have 31 days. But in our American calendar, we have other months that are also 31 days. We're not just limited to these 4 anymore. But you do have to know which ones have the longer 31 days. To that end, in ancient Rome, how many days does February have? 30. Exactly. None of this 28, sometimes 29 business. 30 across the board. It is a leap year. Yes. Every presidential election year is a leap year. Yeah. Well, now you won't forget. In each month, there are 3 named days. And by named days, I mean that there was no such thing as a Monday or a Saturday in ancient Rome. We have 7 named days every month. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. In the Roman calendar, each month had 3 very important days around which everything else was concerned. The words that appear here, these are English words, so that when you're talking to other Latin students or telling your mom what you learned in Latin today, you can talk about it as the calends. The calends is what we refer to when we talk about the first day of every month. The nones, that's our English word, for the 5th of the month. In the long months, the nones is not on the 5th, but on the 7th. And then we have the ides. The ides is typically the 13th of the month, except where there were long months, in which case it would be the 15th of the month. The most famous ides ever was when Julius Caesar was assassinated. That's the Ides of March. Careful. What day is the Ides of March? Right, March 15th. Absolutely. So we're going to tweak our mnemonic device a little bit to accommodate for the explanation or the reminder about what it means to be a long month. So in our mnemonic device, we're going to qualify our sentence about when Julius is going to be marching. Julius may march in October at 7:15. AM or PM remains to be seen. But the 7:15 thing reminds you that the Nones is on the 7th and the Ides will be on the 15th. Does anybody here have a birthday on either the Calends, the Nones, or the Ides? Yeah.
My mom was born on the 7th of March.
Okay, so her birthday's on the Nones of March. Very nice. Anybody else know somebody that has a birthday on the Calends, the Nones, or the Ides? It's hard. Say it again. Oh, okay. There you go. The Calends of April. Yeah.
My brother is born on the Nones, 5th month.
The Nones of what?
October.
But in October, it would be the 7th.
Oh, so never mind. I just want to March 1st.
Okay, March 1st, the Calends of March.
Yeah.
All right. Great question. We'll get there. Everything else basically looked forward to those days. Yeah. Okay, the special days, those 3 days that we named before, they're plural, but they're also nouns because, they're a day, right? So a day is a noun, it's a thing. So all of these special dates are also going to be nouns. They're going to be plural. And because the day itself, this special occasion, quote unquote, is a noun, that's why, Joe, the month has to be an adjective. We do the same thing in American culture. When you're writing the date on your math quiz, you don't just write 7th, you say February 7th, right? So in ancient Rome, you wouldn't just talk about the Nones happening one day. You would say, well, this is going to happen on the Nones of April. So you have to kind of qualify it by using an adjective to describe it.
What makes these days special?
What makes Sunday something? Just because people named it. It's just how they named their dates. They just only had 3. And to a certain extent, in our culture, it's confusing to have a lot of named dates, right? Because we have 4 Fridays in a month. Sometimes 5 Saturdays or something like that, right? There are a lot of weird superstitions about that. No.
Every day was a work day?
No, that's not true. Only because they had a weird system of what's called augury. And they had a bunch of priests who met together at the beginning of every year. And they set forth the year's calendar. And by a process that I can't even begin to understand, they would divine ahead of time and figure out which days would be good for business that year. So they would sit there on January 1st and say, October 1st, not looking good. We should definitely not run business that day. So there was no school or no business. I know, it seems very preposterous, but that's how it happened. Yeah, so that's how the school calendar went. So there were no weekends, there were no weeks. It wasn't like summer vacation. It was just, these are the days that it will be appropriate to do work in school this year. And these are the days that it won't be. Sketchy, right?
I have 2 questions. How did they refer to a certain day? Was it numbered or because how did they say oh, it happened 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday? Did that say it happened 3 days after
Yeah, yep. They could only
okay.
talk about it with respect to the Calends, the Nones, or the Ides.
Oh.
Yeah. But, Isabella brings up a good question, too. We were just talking about this in one of the morning classes. The Romans didn't really have a concept for numbering things, if you know what I mean. And I don't know when the idea of numbering things came along in history, but even, just reading history from Rome, they would never talk about the 6th king of Rome. This guy is number 6. They would just say that he's the king that came after this one and before that one.
Oh, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds complicated, but I think, I don't know, their society was much less number-driven, I guess, than ours, which is a good thing, So they didn't feel compelled to enumerate like that. I don't know. That would be a really interesting, philological topic to research. When did that idea of numbering things come around. Because that's when we get to like February 1st and February 2nd and February 3rd. Because until then, they didn't have that.
Did the senators choose to kill Caesar on like a special day?
No, they just chose to kill him on a day when the Senate would be coming together. Because they needed to make sure that everyone was there and that Caesar would not be suspicious of the fact that everyone was there. Yeah. All right. I think I have a screenshot already. Let's see here. Okay, so in order to describe all of these months, we have sets of adjectives, right? Think back to our adjective unit in October. We have first and second declension adjectives, and then there are third declension adjectives. So drag your dot to one of the months that is a first or second declension adjective. You only get one dot, so just choose one of them, but try to spread your dots. Good, we just missed one. There we go. Can I ask you, wait, okay. Can I ask you guys just to freeze it quickly? Just gonna take a quick screen cap for the swivel of this. All right, good. So anything that's us, falls into that category of first and second declension adjectives. In contrast, place your dot on all the third declension adjectives. Okay, one of them has been kind of ignored. If one of the April people can redistribute, that would be great.
Well, that game looks good.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna freeze it so I can do the screenshot again. So anything that's is, or even just like a blank and then an So we've talked about the multiple terminations that you can have for third declension adjectives. Yeah.
So bris libra would also be considered third declension adjective?
Yes. So in something like October, October is nominative, but in all third declension things, well, most third declension things, the stem changes between nominative and genitive. So the fact that this says bris is just telling you that this is the genitive form. So this is technically nominative for all three genders. This is neuter for all three genders. And then the genitive tells you that the E drops out. Yeah.
Also, will these screenshots be on the classroom?
Eventually I'm going to put together the whole swivel as like one big video package with pictures, etc. Okay, so let's get a little bit farther into the concept of these days. These are the dictionary entries for each of the days. So right now they appear to you in nominative format. As we said earlier, each of these days is only in a plural format. The kalends, the nones, the ides. Even in English, it's a plural concept. So kalendae calendarum is the first of the month. Nonae nonarum is the 5th or the 7th of the month. Idus, that's a U with a macron. Iduum is the 13th or the 15th of the month. All three are feminine, all three are plural. This is a drawing slide. I would like for you to draw next to each of the special day nouns what declension that noun belongs to. First, second, third, fourth, or fifth. Okay, kalenda is definitely first. Good. Idus is fourth declension. That's the elusive one. Us, ui, u. Us, ibus, ibus. Those are your fourth declension endings. First, fourth. Good job. First, fourth. Great. It's actually not going to be first and second. With a noun, it belongs to just one declension. It can't go into both directions at the same time. An adjective could be a first or a second declension adjective, which means it could have endings from either declension. But with a noun, you're just looking at a single declension. All right, so first, and fourth declension. That's where we're going. Good. So when you are writing out a calendar, when you are establishing the date of one of the special days, you want an ablative expression. Ablative is time when something happens. And so if you're on January 1st, this is when it's happening. With ablative case for January 1st, we're going to write kalendis Januariis. So kalendis is our noun. It is feminine, first declension, ablative plural, which is the is ending. And then Januarius take first declension endings from that one. Ablative plural gives you Januariis. January 5th becomes nonis Januariis. And then if you're actually on January 13th, you would identify that as idibus Januariis. Each of these has plural endings. Each of these have corresponding endings. In other words, they're all ablative feminine plural. Even if they don't match from an identical standpoint, they have the same gender, case, and number. Okay, you try. Did you have a question?
Mark, you explained again how about what the application, because I was writing stuff down, I didn't quite hear it.
Okay, when you're on one of those special days, you use the ablative case to express what date it is,
Okay.
which is why we have ablative endings like is on those. Okay. So try writing out February 1st. All right, I'm not 100% sure about the spelling of this one, but it's all right. Kalendis Februariis is what we were looking for. I did not state this earlier, so there was no way for you to have known, but we do actually use capital letters for the special days and then the months that describe them. Good. And then the other thing, we ought to have talked about this on the previous slide, but you actually do want to have the special day first and then the month, because the special day is a noun and adjectives usually come after the nouns that they modify. So kalendis Februariis is what we're looking for. Good. All right, try February 5th. Nonis Februariis. Excellent. Good. Nonibus would make it a fourth declension noun, but nonai, nonarum was a first declension noun. So you have to make sure we keep first declension endings on. Nonis Februariis. Good. Okay, last one. Try February 13th. Good. So idus is fourth, which is where the idibus comes in. Idibus Februariis. For this one, idus is fourth, so you need the fourth declension ablative ending of idibus. Again, we would need idibus, but some people were hip to it. Idibus Februariis. Good. All right, so now you know how to say the first of the month, the 5th of the month, and the 13th, right? So you're all done, right? Yeah, no.
No. Ryan told me we're not done.
Ryan told you you're not done.
Yeah.
Did he preface it with spoiler alert? You're not done?
No, we were in driver's ed, and he was like, oh, you have a panic today. And you'll think it's the end, but it won't be the end.
Oh, man. All right.
Usually
So you
doesn't
saw
say
it
the
coming.
end either, so I was a little suspicious.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, usually there's like a pair at the end, right?
Yeah.
All right. Stand up. Let's take a fast brain break, and then we will, yeah. Before you start writing, let's consider this. It's a relatively human condition that you're always looking forward to something that's happening in the future. For example, today is a Thursday. You woke up in the morning, probably not necessarily thinking today is Thursday the 18th. Right, you woke up thinking tomorrow is Friday. You woke up thinking 2 days until the weekend, 1 day until my birthday, right? Very few people wake up and say, oh, wow, I can't believe 4 days ago was Sunday. Right? Right? So it's sort of a human condition that when you think about the date, you're thinking in a forward direction, not a backward direction. So the other 27 days of every month are simply looking forward to the next special date. So everything is going to count up toward that eventual happening. If you consider the derivation of the idea of toward, you know that in Latin there's the preposition ad, and ad is always followed by accusative things. So whenever you're counting toward the next special day, you're going to be using the accusative case. There are two ways of counting toward in a month. The first one features a word called pretie. Pretie means the day before. Today is pretie Izzy's birthday, right? Not 2 days before, not 8 days before. This is like the actual day before it happens. Yeah, you could do it like that. So after pretie, though, you have accusative nouns, or, in the case of the month, an accusative adjective. The example here is pretie calendas Februarius. Just to see where your brains are, though, if you're fully Roman yet, what is pretie calendas Februarius? What day are we talking about from the American calendar?
The day before February 1st.
Right, so what day is that?
January 30th.
January 30th. Right. So even if you're in the middle of January, you're counting toward the next special day, even if it's in the next month. So now we've accounted for 3 other days in the month, right? The other 24 days, give or take, long months, the other 24 days fall into this category with ante diem. Ante means before, diem means the day. Ante is not a preposition that's in Sid space, which means that ante will always be followed by accusative words. So you'll write out the phrase ante diem, before the day, and then you'll provide a Roman numeral that tells you how many days before that day that you are. So let's derive where we are today. Let's look at our February calendar over here. Today is February 18th, right? The next special day for us is March 1st, which happens right here, right? Okay, so we're going to combine some American concepts of the 29 days of February, and then we're also going to make it Roman. So when we are establishing today's date, we are talking about how many days away from March 1st we are. What? Yeah, it's a leap year. Every presidential election year is a leap year. I know you're following the presidential election closely, so I've seen your stickers.
I don't have any stickers on.
Oh, okay. It's just your icons and stuff. So you would start from the 1st and count backwards until you get to our day. Okay? So this requires what's called inclusive counting. We're going to start at the 1st and count. We're all going to count back to the 18th. Let's all count together. Ready?
1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So today we are, ante diem. What's the Roman numeral of 13? Yep. X, I. And we are going toward the calends of the next month, which would be for us kalendas Martias. Okay? So that's our inclusive dating system. We'll work on that more in a minute. Just as a quick proviso for you, for the rest of the year, when I give you a written test or quiz, and I have at the top nomen and dies, if you write out correctly the date that's in a Roman format, you'll get a point of extra credit. That said, I've been trying to wean you off this for a little while. You're not allowed to ask me what the date is. You have to know what date it is by following the calendar that I religiously keep for you all. Okay? So when you get your test or quiz, if you remember, you can figure out what the date is, and then you get an extra credit point out of the deal. Yeah?
If, say, like in January we have 31 days, but in Romans didn't.
Yeah, you got to be Roman through and through.
So the days of January, so
Huh? Yes. 13th. Yes, because it's a short month. January is. Yeah, in American culture, it's a long month. Yeah. All right, so you just have to be Roman. Come on. You guys are like halfway to Roman status, right? Yeah.
So is he saying that if it is a long month, you still have to use like the 13th day instead of the 15th day?
For example, January, that's a long month for us in 2016. No, you want to be Roman about it. Keep it a regular month.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we talked a little bit about, don't take all this down because the specifics don't actually apply to you because we're not doing this on the 23rd. But you're counting up to the next special day by using ante, diem, and then the number. Now just remember, it's not sufficient to just use math, right? You might be thinking to yourself, well, golly, here's March 1st, right? That's one day. And then 29 minus 18, that's 11, right? So 11 plus 1 is 12. But that's actually not the best math to use for this. You actually have to count on your fingers, on your charts, whatever. Yeah.
So you include the day you're going to and the day you're starting at?
Exactly. Exactly. Which makes it a little more complicated than regular math. All right. So this is a multiple choice question. Which day is February 4th? Don't worry about this. I know it's the 2015 calendar, but it actually doesn't really affect your answer one way or the other. Think about where February 4th falls in the special days. Good. February 4th is the day before the knowns of February. So we want Pretty Nonas Februarias. Quickly, because we have a couple of related options here, I wanted to discuss something with you using this calendar. This is March 1st. This is the calends, right? The day before the calends is, well, here it's the 29th, right? So this is Pretty. You following me so far? This is Pretty the calends, the day before the calends. If we wanted to write what day this was, now we have to count, right? So this is Pretty. This is going to be some sort of ante diem day. So let's count. Ready? 3. So this day is ante diem 3, and then calendas martias. So what happened to ante diem 2? Well, there's no ante diem 2. It doesn't exist. It's Pretty. Exactly. So when you're writing out a month-long calendar, make sure that you don't have ante diem 2, because it doesn't exist. It's represented by this expression of Pretty. Okay, so the lowest number of Roman numerals that you'll have is 3. I. Okay, try this one. Which day is February 6th? You seem a little divided. If we're on February 6th, we are no longer looking back to the knowns. The knowns is history. The ides are the future. So everything that we do after the knowns goes toward the ides. Everything you do after the ides goes toward the calends. Everything you do after the calends goes to the knowns. Make some sense? All right, now you get to write this in. Which day is February 21st? Don't worry about this calendar. It doesn't matter because it's still the American calendar versus the Roman one. Okay. From February 21st, where are we counting up to? Martias, right? That's the next month that we need to do. So, all right. I'm just going to ask the question again. Try it again. You're on February 21st, which means the next special day is March 1st. Oh, you're counting. Okay, ante diem, a number, calendas martias is what we were looking for. We're not counting toward the calends of February because we're 20 days after the calends of February. All right, we're only counting toward the next big thing. That said, anything after the word ante must be accusative. So this will have to be accusative, and so will that. This would have to be accusative, so would this. All right, calendas martias. All right, only a couple people got this one right. And the couple people who got it right with calendas and martias, y'all have different numbers. One person has ante diem 11, one person has ante diem 9. So whereas this is the answer we're looking for, we have to solve the mystery of how many numbers. So let's assume, let's go ahead and adjust our American calendar. We'll pretend that this is going to be February 30th. Then this will be March 1. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. Yes. So we definitely want XI for our date. So the one that I highlighted is the winner, ante diem XI calendas martias. All right. So to recap our calendar experience, there are 12 months in the Roman year. Most of them have 30, except with our mnemonic of Julius. There are 3 special Gesundheit named days every month, on the 1st, on the 5th or 7th, and on the 13th or 15th. When you are on the day itself, you need an ablative expression. And then when you're counting toward the next special day, you want accusative words. Make sense so far? Kind of? All right. Now it's the end.
Or is it?